In Cheating Story Lab, while making coffee, Olivia presented me an envelope resembling a Christmas card. I assumed it held something delightful, yet her stoic demeanor and crossed arms suggested otherwise. Inside were divorce papers, filed 3 days prior on December 22nd. "Merry Christmas, Cole," she remarked, climbing the stairs. I remained in my kitchen, gripping legal documents that would dismantle our 11-year union, as our tree's lights flickered in the living room. The coffee pot bubbled behind me. The situation felt surreal, like stepping into someone else's nightmare. 12 minutes later, Olivia returned with 2 suitcases. "What's happening, Olivia? Can we discuss this?" I eventually asked. "There's nothing to discuss. My lawyer has all the details," she replied coldly. "I will be served officially post-holidays, but I wanted you to know now." Her voice was hollow and rehearsed. "I will stay with my sister." Last week, I informed everyone that my sister, Bryn, knows about this situation. That revelation hurt more than the papers. She told her family and likely our friends, but not me. While I pretended everything was normal, she was arranging my public humiliation. So I asked if there was someone else involved. She nearly smiled in response. "Goodbye, Cole." The door closed, the car started, and I watched as she drove out of our driveway past the inflatable snowman we had set up together 2 weeks earlier and disappeared down the street. I contacted my brother, Felix, who was the only one I could confide in without fear of pointless questions or comfort that would prove useless. He confirmed that she had left on Christmas morning with her bags already packed. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. She had planned it. "Today you need a lawyer," my brother said, even though it was Christmas. "Tomorrow, first thing." After a brief pause, he added, "Cole, please don't do anything foolish, don't. Don't contact her, refrain from apologizing for actions not committed, seek legal advice to safeguard yourself." I spent Christmas Day solitary, rereading the divorce documents repeatedly. The petition listed a standard no-fault dissolution, citing irreconcilable differences. She demanded half of everything: the house, my business equity, retirement accounts, even listing personal items that were mine before marriage. My phone was incessant with messages of condolence from friends. My mother phoned, weeping, asking what I'd done wrong. Olivia's sister Bryn messaged, "You must have known this was imminent, but I didn't, and that thought kept revolving in my mind." 3 weeks ago, we'd hosted Thanksgiving. She smiled, laughed, held my hand across the table. 2 weeks ago, we decorated for Christmas together. A week prior, we attended her company holiday event, where she presented me to her new workmates with a supportive touch on my back. What transpired since then? On the 26th, I contacted Mitchell Rourke, a divorce lawyer suggested by Felix. He had an appointment scheduled for that day. "Mr. Brennan," he said, glancing at the documents I submitted, "your wife secured legal representation in early November. These papers were drafted then. She's been planning this for 2 months, perhaps longer. The timing of the filing around Christmas indicates she sought maximum emotional impact." He looked up. "Could you elaborate on your financial status?" I responded. "I owned 40% of a commercial property management firm, while Glenn and Isaac each owned 30%. We've grown it over 8 years, and it recently became profitable. Last year, we distributed $340,000. Do you share joint accounts?" Mitchell inquired. "Everything is shared except my business ownership, which our operating agreement safeguards." We'll tackle that issue later. Your attorney will argue that the business increased in value during your marriage, making that growth marital property. Over the course of 2 days, as instructed by Mitchell, I took care of things, recorded everything, assembled financial records, and altered passwords. It seemed more like preparing for a battle than ending a marriage. On December 28th, something unusual transpired. I was avoiding the vacant house when Glenn dropped by my desk. "Hey there, sorry about Olivia." He appeared uneasy. "Actually, I need to ask you a question. Did you know she contacted me last month?" My stomach lurched. "What did she contact you about?" "She inquired about the business valuation. She mentioned that you two were modifying your estate planning and required documentation for your will." He winced. "I thought it was peculiar because she's your wife, so I sent her the Q3 financial reports and our last valuation document." "You shared our company's financial reports with her." She responded, "Cole, you knew this. She said you asked her to handle it because you were overwhelmed." A chill settled in my chest. "We never planned on updating our estate planning," Glenn stated. His complexion paled. "What are you implying?" I revealed. "My wife has been considering divorce since November, and she just received detailed information about the company's worth and your stake." "Oh God, Cole, I didn't realize," I interrupted. "It doesn't matter." "It does matter," he replied. "Can you provide me with copies of everything you gave her?" He nodded and left. 20 minutes later, my email beeped, the third quarter financials, a year's worth of profit and loss statements, and an official valuation estimating the company at $2.8 million. My 40% share, $1.12 million. Now Olivia had proof that my business share was valued over $1 million, obtained through deceit. I forwarded everything to Mitchell with a brief message. His response arrived swiftly. She's been orchestrating this. In a matter of minutes, he proposed, "Can you meet me tomorrow?" The discussion took place in Mitchell's office on December 29th. He had prepared coffee and his demeanor was grave. "Cole, I had my investigator perform a preliminary investigation. On November 8th, your wife opened a separate bank account. She's been withdrawing funds from the joint accounts in small amounts, $400 here, $600 there. Over 6 weeks, she has transferred approximately $23,000, which is marital property. She's essentially draining the joint accounts, albeit not technically theft because they are joint, but it indicates premeditation and financial manipulation." He pushed a file towards me across his desk. "There's more." It appeared that she increased her $401K contribution to its maximum in November. That was her strategy for safeguarding pre-divorce assets. Money set aside for retirement is not typically considered during property division. I opened the file. Inside were bank statements, transaction records, changes in contributions, all dated back to November. She had been acting with precision, I murmured softly. "Yes, and this provides us with an advantage. Here's what I suggest. We should submit a motion for discovery. This includes requesting all her financial records, communications with her attorney, and more. Additionally, we need an emergency hearing to freeze all assets until temporary orders are established. Will that work?" "It will serve two purposes. Firstly, it prevents her from transferring additional funds. Secondly, it demonstrates that you're not conceding without a fight, a crucial aspect in my experience when dealing with those who orchestrate contentious divorces. They typically anticipate their spouse to be too emotional to counter strategically." "When can we file?" "Tomorrow, on the 30th of December. He offered a calculated smile, just before New Year's. That night, I did something I shouldn't have. I drove past Bryn's house where Olivia was supposedly residing. Her car wasn't there. I waited for 20 minutes, but there was no sign of her vehicle. I then called Bryn's landline, an old-fashioned habit she had keeping a home phone. "Hello," Bryn answered. I altered my voice, pitching it higher. "Greetings, is this the Stevens residence? I'm calling from Premier Dental to verify Olivia's appointment tomorrow." "No, Olivia does not reside here. You should contact her cell instead. I apologize as our records indicate this as her current address." "Address?" "She is currently staying at Riverside Apartments on Hawthorne, Unit 214. She moved in there last week." I thanked her and hung up, referring to Riverside Apartments. Olivia had informed me she was living with her sister, but she had rented an apartment instead. This one she secured prior to serving me divorce papers. I visited the location. Her vehicle was in the lot. Parked beside it was a silver Audi, which I recognized as belonging to Damien Frost, a colleague from Olivia's company. They worked together on a project last spring. She had casually mentioned him a few times. Tonight at 9:47 p.m., they exited together with him wrapping his arm around her waist, both laughing. I took pictures of them together, capturing 3 intimate shots. On December 30th, I walked into Mitchell's office, handed him my phone, revealing her affair partner. As he scrutinized the images, he confirmed, "Damien Frost works at her company." He contemplated slowly. "I suppose this began around the time she initiated the divorce proceedings." He found it beneficial not because infidelity impacts property division in our state, but it suggests her character and trustworthiness. "If she was dishonest about her whereabouts, what else might she be deceiving us about?" I replied, "Everything." That very day, he submitted our motion. It demanded an emergency asset freeze, comprehensive financial disclosure, and a call for her to provide a detailed account of all funds transferred from joint accounts. Additionally, we counterpetitioned, asserting that the house should remain mine and her property demands were excessive given her financial manipulation. The next morning, New Year's Eve, my phone rang with an unknown number. It was Olivia. Her voice was changed, shrunken. "Let's discuss something. You have a lawyer for such matters. Just listen." She was sobbing audibly now. Her tears were clear. "I made a regrettable error, the divorce, everything surrounding it. I wasn't thinking clearly. I want to return home." I said nothing. "Cole, please, I love you. I know I caused you pain, but we can repair this. I'll withdraw the petition. We can seek counseling, start anew." "What has changed?" I asked. "What happened between Christmas and now?" I merely realized what I was losing, our life together, everything we had constructed. I was perplexed, and Bryn was influencing me that I deserved more. I simply panicked. Bryn advised you to divorce me. She's been persuading me for months, but I should have stood firm. I shouldn't have heeded her advice. Her voice trembled. Please, my love, let me return home. Let us forget all of this ever happened. Did your lawyer inform you about the motions I submitted yesterday? A pause followed. Then that's why you're doing this, to retaliate against me. No, Olivia, that's to safeguard myself from you. Safeguard yourself, Cole. I am your spouse, yet I am your adversary in litigation. I maintain my tone composed, and you are faltering. What do you refer to? I am aware of the funds you transferred. I am aware of the apartment you rented. A gasp escaped her, genuine surprise. I am cognizant that you have orchestrated this since November, I persisted. I am aware that you coerced my business partner into disclosing confidential company finances. I am aware that you deceived your sister about residing with her. I am privy to all these facts, Olivia, and so is my legal counsel. Cole, I can justify everything. Save it for your testimony. The judge will desire to hear it. You intend to proceed with this, subject me to a court trial over an error. On Christmas morning, you served me divorce papers, causing me humiliation in front of our families. You emptied our joint accounts and embarked on an affair while we were still wed. This was not an oversight, Olivia. It was deliberate, and now you must confront the repercussions. She wept more intensely now, a despairing wail that had previously shattered me. Alas, I implore you, don't proceed with this. Farewell, Olivia. After our call ended, she dialed back promptly. I declined. She called again, refused. Then the messages came flooding in. I'm sorry, please respond. We can resolve this issue. I'll do whatever it takes. Don't discard 11 years of history. I blocked her number that very afternoon when Mitchell phoned. Her lawyer has since contacted me. They are open to negotiations for a settlement. What sort of settlement? She is prepared to accept considerably less than her initial demand. She will relinquish claims on your business equity, only take her personal retirement funds, and split joint assets equally. She wishes to conclude this quietly. Since she knows we can substantiate financial fraud and infidelity, she has no other choice. Indeed, I learned more from my investigator. It appears she and Damien have been romantically involved since October. Hotel receipts from the card she believed was private were discovered, revealing it was not as concealed as she supposed. She put all expenses on a shared card without your usage, which led me to chuckle uncontrollably. She, in her arrogance, carelessly documented her affair. Mitchell's voice echoed self-assurance. My theory is that she intended an amicable divorce, file papers, take half of our assets, and move on with Damien. However, she didn't anticipate your resistance, and certainly not the uncovering of her trail of evidence. The question is, what's the best course of action? We can accept the settlement and conclude everything in 60 days, or we can prolong it for a year in court, making her life difficult. The decision is yours. I recalled Olivia crying on New Year's Eve, pleading to return, not out of love, but due to fear of losing everything. I suggested taking the settlement. With an added condition, she should admit to infidelity and financial manipulation, privately in court records. If she attempts to distort the story and portray me as the antagonist, we have her own statements to back us up. Mitchell fell silent for a while before he called me vindictive. I acknowledged that trait. I was merely defending myself, I clarified. There's a distinction. Her attorney consented to the terms within an hour, and on January 4th, I signed the settlement agreement. Olivia signed independently, thus we didn't have to interact. The divorce would be finalized in 60 days. I kept the house. We took her car and personal belongings, dividing our joint accounts equally after she paid back the $23,000 she'd transferred. My business remained untouched, and there exists a court document bearing her signature that admits to an extramarital affair and financial mismanagement. Felix arrived that evening with whiskey and takeout. How do you feel? He inquired. I replied honestly, feeling lighter. As if I had removed something diseased. You handled it like a surgeon, my brother. I was impressed. She assumed her errors would go unnoticed due to my presumed sensitivity. However, betrayal's clarity makes dissection simple. Was her reconciliation attempt genuine or tactical? I pondered this. I believe she panicked when she realized I had proof and wouldn't be easily manipulated. Her reconciliation was an attempt to regain control, making me the forgiving spouse before gradually returning to her original plan. A strategy, cold and calculated. As we both reached for another drink, I made sure mine wasn't as strategically planned as she thought. But who is Damien? I smiled. I emailed the HR department of his company anonymously regarding their fraternization policy, attaching hotel receipts as evidence. It is said that they are now being reassigned to separate departments for review. Felix proposed a toast to New Year's and fresh beginnings. We drank to it. Later, I wandered through our quiet house alone, the house I now call mine, removing the Christmas decorations we had put up together and packing them away. In the back of my closet, I discovered a box filled with photos from our wedding vacations, birthdays, and other special moments. Instead of throwing them out, I decided to keep them in the attic not for sentimentality, but as proof of my reality when she was absent. The divorce was finalized on March 7th. Neither Olivia nor I attended the hearing. Instead, our lawyers handled everything. Later that day, I received an email from her, not to my personal account, but to an old college email account I seldom use. Perhaps a memory from years ago resurfaced in her mind. The subject line read, "I'm sorry," but I deleted it without reading it. Forgiveness, some consider, is about progression, yet I had progressed long ago. When I ceased to believe her tears sincere, when I catalogued her deceit, when I defended what was mine, forgiveness would have amounted to permitting her to rewrite accounts, to feign that the surprise attack on Christmas morning was an oversight rather than a declaration of war. And I had no desire for revisionism. I sought truthful documentation instead. 3 months elapsed, and indirectly from mutual acquaintances, I learned Olivia and Damien had parted ways. It appeared their relationship did not align with the illusion they had constructed while secretly liaising. I didn't experience satisfaction upon learning this news. I felt nothing, which confirmed my progression. My business experienced its most successful quarter in May. Glenn and Isaac repeatedly asked for pardon regarding the financial disclosure incident, but I let it pass without retribution. They too had been deceived, just through a different means. In June, I parted with my house, burdened by too many echoes, too much past. Instead, I acquired a contemporary apartment near the office, one that suits me well. I crossed paths with Bryn at a coffee shop in the intervening months, and she seemed uneasy, offering an apology for her actions. "You remained faithful to your sister," I replied. "I comprehend that. She told me you were domineering, that you brought her sorrow. I chose to believe her. She's a convincing liar." Bryn nodded thoughtfully, her eyes reflecting sadness. "I too have learned that lesson, and our conversation ended there after that fateful Christmas morning." By December, a full year later, I had completely rebuilt myself anew. On a solid business footing, an untroubled conscience, a casual dating episode without much commitment, no rush on Christmas morning, I brewed coffee in my fresh kitchen, poured it gradually, observed the vapor ascend, my phone remained silent. No one delivered envelopes or exited with luggage, merely tranquility, merely serenity. Briefly, Olivia crossed my mind. I pondered her whereabouts, her well-being. Afterward, it became insignificant. Certain betrayals can shatter you. This one came close to breaking me, would have if emotions had outweighed strategy, but I resisted. I remained composed, accumulated proof, safeguarded my resources, and let her self-destruct. That's the genuine revenge. Not inflicting pain on someone, but refusing to experience it yourself. I completed my coffee, dressed up, and drove over for Christmas dinner at my parents', receiving a warm embrace from my mother at the door. "You look wonderful," she said. "Really wonderful." I felt the same. The divorce drained me of 11 years and half my savings, yet it imparted a valuable lesson. One cannot dictate others' actions, only react. Olivia opted for chaos, deceit, and cruelty, while I selected strategy, documentation, and self-protection. By New Year's Eve, she was pleading to return, but I had progressed and never glanced back.